Welcome in, everybody, to the World of Football. I am your host, Adam Snow, and joining me is the founder of the World of Football and my father, Randy Snow. And today we'll be recapping Week 9 in the inaugural season of Arena Football 1. Dad, how are you doing today?
Great. Ready to talk some AF1 football.
And I see you're rocking a classic Arena Football team shirt right there in the Minnesota Fighting Pike. Look at that gorgeous logo. One of the most unique names in all of sports. I love that. You broke that out for today's show.
Yeah. Only around for one season, but still remembered by a lot of people, including me.
For sure. But guys, before we talk about the Week 9 slate of games, I'd like to remind you all to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It really helps us out. And to follow us on our various social medias, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, X. Those are the main ways to get a hold of us right now until Randy decides it's time to join TikTok. So that's how you can
TikTok.
get never say never, I guess, but that's how you can get a hold of us and follow us and some of the goings-ons we do here at the World of Football. And as we do every week, we're a couple days late, though, with this because we had a late arena game this past week. You know, there was a Monday night game. We recorded our podcast on Tuesday, so this show had to wait till today. And here you go, guys. Our AF1 Week 9 recap, kicking off with the Vice Game of the Week, which turned out to be pretty good. Maybe not as great as we had hoped, but still a pretty good game as the Albany Firebirds defeated the Nashville Cats. What was that final score there? 71-55. Dad, what did you think about this game as the Firebirds continue their unbeaten streak?
It kind of went how I expected. I figured that Nashville was going to give them a good game, and they did. They hung with them for quite a while, and in the end, Albany just found a way to win at the end of the game. So congratulations to them, remaining undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, what more can we say about this Firebirds squad? You know, it looked early on that Nashville had this game. They were dictating how this game was going. They jumped out to, what was it, a 10-0 lead maybe?
Yep.
17. Yeah, and they just seemed to have it. And then all of a sudden, end of the first half, Albany, put a couple of drives together. I think they even got a score, got a deuce, and bam, there they were. They took the lead right before halftime and never gave it back. Because then the second half started, and the Cats just something happened in that third quarter, and the Cats just couldn't recover from a couple of bad bounces off the net, and Albany capitalized on that, and that momentum just swung back into Albany's favor. Nashville tried to make it close there later on. They were competitive, but it still wasn't enough to take out the Firebirds.
Yeah, I mean, Albany scored 41 points in the second half to Nashville's 27, and that was a big difference right there. There was a play where Albany recovered the ball in the end zone on the opening kickoff of the second half for a touchdown. So immediately, as soon as the second half started, they jumped right out to a lead. That's like a possession they weren't supposed to have, and
right.
They just snowballed from there.
It certainly did. I mean, and don't get us wrong. Losing by 16 points, you'd think, oh well, the Cats, struggled. Well, not really. I think Tyler Kulka has as a quarterback for the Cats has appeared to be the real deal. He threw for 332 yards passing in this game. He threw for 5 touchdowns. So he did a lot to help this team. It was just the special teams that ended up killing the Cats there. Otherwise, it would have been a lot closer, if not probably a Cats win, I dare say.
Yeah,
the Cats were competitive. It's just we talk about this in the arena game. It's why we love the arena game overall with the Nets, because once that ball hits that net, hits that bar, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows where that ball's going to go? Whose hands it's going to end up in? And this time around, it was all in favor of the Firebirds because they jumped on it in the end zone. They swing the momentum at the start of the second half and like you said, stole a possession. Another aspect of the arena game that I think goes overlooked a lot of times. It's a possession game. And if you can steal a possession or two, you have a very good chance of winning. And Albany has shown that they are the team that can do that the most effective.
Yeah. When those situations arise, Albany knows how to capitalize on them and make the most out of them.
Yep. And it doesn't help that you have a quarterback like Sam Castronova, who threw 225 yards, 5 touchdown passes during this game. It helps, when you're the Firebirds, that you've got receivers like Dwayne Brown and Darian Townsend, who are going to have big games. Dwayne Brown had 144 yards receiving during this game. Wow. Unbelievable. He had 4 touchdown catches. And there's even that great play. I think the Firebirds opening possession when the Firebirds had the ball. They threw a pass to Sam Castronova, so they were getting real tricky there from the beginning. So they were ready to do whatever it took to win this game, and they got the talent there to maintain it. And of course, my favorite player, my MVP favorite, which is kicker Henry Nell for the Firebirds, doing what he does best. Every time he kicks the ball, anytime it hits that net and it bounces in favor of their team. I mean, look what it did for him this week. I think Henry Nell should be MVP. We could get into that discussion maybe a little later, but he is my MVP personally. No offense to Sam Castronova, who's putting up a great season. I just think what a difference maker Henry Nell and kicking in general in this league is. And I think that's got to be something that needs to be recognized.
Yeah, every team needs a heck of a kicker. Some have them and some don't, and that can be the difference in the game is how good your kicker is.
And that's proved, a lot of these teams have finally found decent kickers. I think now over halfway through the season, we finally got the kicking game much improved than it was early on in the year. And for Albany, they've had the guy this whole time, and I think they keep winning because of that leg especially. Helps them out in some crucial situation.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention from this game before we move on?
No, let's move on.
Okay. Well, the next game saw the Outlaws of Billings defeat the Wolfpack of Washington 69-10. This was a drubbing. If you look at the word in the dictionary, it's a picture of Darius Prince catching a touchdown pass and going over the wall. It was a drubbing for the Outlaws on that Wolfpack team. And I mean, the West Coast teams, we've kind of talked about it. It's been like a storyline all season long. These West Coast teams they're Jekyll and Hyde. We don't know what we're going to get from them week to week. And Albany, after riding a 4-game skid, 4 straight losses, they get a nice bounce back victory. But the question will be for this team now. Yes, you signed Darius Prince. Yes, last week they signed Malik Henry as a new quarterback. Can this team gel quick enough to get a turnaround going? And I think it helps having a Washington on your schedule to kind of bounce back, against. I don't know if it's a true litmus test yet for this Albany team. I think we'll have to wait and see. They got a tough Storm team coming up next week. So, not going to say Albany's back, or say that Billings is back quite yet, but it's a step in the right direction, and we'll see with a coach like Coach Walker, can this team improve? And it looks like they got the pieces in place to turn this season around.
Yeah, forget what happened in the game. What'd you think of those gray uniforms that the Outlaws had? They remind me too much of the Lions. You called them what? The baby rompers or the something? Looked like baby pajamas.
I've always kind of called them the onesie pajamas.
The onesie.
They don't wear those anymore. They're the old Lions alternate uniforms before they went to the black uniforms. Yeah. But I don't know, not a fan. But I mean, for Albany though, not a bad look. It took me a second to realize what was happening when they unveiled their new jerseys during the game. I don't know. I kind of miss Albany again. Billings blue uniforms. I miss the blue. I really do, and I miss the Billings logo. Like anywhere on that uniform. That Billings, as much as I criticize the amount of teams with cowboy hats and bandanas over the last couple of years, I miss that Billings logo on either side. It just says Billings on the stripe. It says Outlaws right here, and that's it. No real discerning logo to tell me that that's an Outlaws jersey when I see it. Now that they have this jersey, it's like that's a Lions ripoff jersey. Thank you, Stephen Titus, for some Lions love, but I would love to see a little more Outlaw identity.
Yeah, I don't like those gray uniforms on the Lions, but in Albany they work better. Yeah, I wasn't
Billings. I infected you.
Yes, you did. On Billings, they look pretty good with the black helmet. So they can keep wearing those gray uniforms in Billings.
Well, look, there was an actual game that was played. Let's get away from the uniform talk. I know you wanted to bring it up. But look, Malik Henry's debut with the Outlaws, he went 15 of 20 for 181 yards. He threw for 6 touchdowns during the game. And Darius Prince had a nice game as well. He had 6 catches for 87 yards and 4 touchdown catches, including that catch that made its way to Sports Center. I don't know if you saw that highlight finally, but that was a heck of a play. So Billings, look, they got the weapons. The question is, can they compete against the cream of the crop? We saw what they did against Albany, and it was not impressive, to say the least. They'll have another shot, hopefully, if they make the playoffs, which we'll talk about the new playoff format a little later on. But, Albany's got a ways to go to climb back into this thing and to,
Billings.
Billings. My goodness, I don't understand why I'm Albany heavy today. But Billings, I mean, the graphic's sitting right there. It says Billings. I don't know why I keep bringing up Albany. But no, Billings has a shot to climb back up, show that they could compete with an Albany, but they got a ways to go. They got a few games left, and Albany's got 2 games left, I want to say, on their schedule. So Albany's got a few buys. So Billings has some ground to make up, and these other teams all have opportunity to improve before the playoffs. I mean, while Albany gets to rest, these other teams get to cut their teeth, get a little more wear and tear and figure their teams out. And we'll see if that's going to be a detriment to the Firebirds or not later on, and if it helps maybe a Billings out that they got a few games left to go.
Yeah. Yeah, Billings was up 23-0 at the end of the first quarter. They were up 37-3 at halftime after Manny Higuera kicked a 28-yard field goal as time expired in the first half. So very few points for Washington. It was all Billings all game long. And I think they were just this was like a practice game for them to see what they could do, who they could get in there, and how many points they could run up this week.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see it. I thought Washington, the moment Washington looks competitive, then the next game they just fold like a lawn chair. The talent discrepancy is clear. It's unfortunate to see, but I mean, you got to play who's in front of you, and that's what the Outlaws did in this game.
Yeah.
All right, and then we had our final game of the weekend, which saw the Corpus Christi Tritons actually travel up to Oregon. They played the Lightning on Monday night for some AF1 after dark action, and the Oregon Lightning took this one 52-20 over the Tritons. This is a game I started watching. I thought the game started at 8 o'clock Eastern time, because when I rolled around to it at about 9:45 at night Eastern time, we were only halfway through the first quarter. So I don't know if there was a delay or if the time on Evergreen Now was off and it was accidentally wrote as Eastern time instead of Mountain time or whatever West Coast time is. So, I know you didn't stay up to see this game because it was past your bedtime. What'd you think?
Well, I watched the highlights, and yeah, it was competitive early on. The Lightning had a 14-6 lead at the end of the first quarter, so not too bad for Corpus Christi at that time. The Lightning led 26-14 at halftime. Still in the game, not too bad. But the third quarter, the Tritons closed the gap to 26-20, so they're just down by 6 points. After one of their players returned an interception for a touchdown, but it was all Lightning after that. Oregon scored 26 unanswered points and walked away with a 52-20 win. So, up until early in the third quarter, it was a competitive game, but Corpus Christi just didn't have it after that.
A lot of the rumor, speculation was this team even going to make it up to Oregon? What was going to happen? Look, they clearly signed some guys. There's names on the stat sheet this time around. I don't know what to say. Don't know what's going on all behind the scenes. It's not like we're privy to all that information, So clearly they still put a team together. They had their travel booked for well over a week, so we kind of figured that they were still going to make the trip. We just didn't know what kind of team this was going to look like. And it's clear that they put some guys together that still need to gel. It's not the same team they were when they were 3-1 and looking like the second best team in the league. Now they're not that team.
Yeah.
They might have that record, that 3 wins still count, but they're not that team. And this was a test to see if Oregon was actually, not. I don't think Oregon's a great team. They got a couple of good players. Like Dalton Cole had a nice game, 21 of 28, 285 yards, 5 touchdowns for the Lightning. That whole roster, though, I feel like I would have been shocked if they'd laid an egg during this game, because Oregon, these guys, despite their record, despite how they probably would play against an Albany, I feel like, or at least this team has played together. They've gone through a few games together, so I don't think there was a reason for them to just drop this game out of left field. This is a game they should have won. They ended up winning, so they did what they had to do as well. Now the question will be, can Oregon just stay competitive and maybe claw their way now into the playoffs. They have another game against Washington this upcoming week. For Corpus Christi, do these new players you brought in, do they gel fast enough to put together a competitive team that's going to give some of these other teams a run for their money? They got an Albany on their schedule still. How's that game going to go? They're going to let another 100 points drop on them? I hope not. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though. It does stink when you have these, like I said, this talent discrepancy. And we'll have to wait and see when these teams actually play each other. But right now, the bottom half of the league is there's a reason they've restructured the playoffs the way they did.
Yep, that's all I've got on this game.
Okay, my only other thoughts from this game real quick is Oregon rocking some new uniforms that kind of came out of left field. I don't know what happened to their nice new uniforms. They had the 3 uniforms, all season long, that orange, the black, and was it a highlighter yellow uniform? No, the white uniform, sorry. The white uniform. So they had 3 uniforms. All of a sudden they debuted this black uniform, which was not part of their normal set. And then they were wearing the Oregon Black Bear pants. I don't know what gives. I haven't seen any updates on why they did this. If it was just them being like, hey, let's just make some new uniforms. Let's debut a 4th uniform set. I really don't know. It was just a weird look. And just caught me a little by surprise is all. And we kind of talked about it on our weekly podcast, but the boards in Oregon not being able to stay in place, still moving when they get hit.
Yeah.
If Oregon's going to have a team next year, I'm going to say it now, they can't be in that arena.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's nothing against that arena. It's just I don't think it suits what they're trying to do unless they figure out a way to make it so those boards are not moving. Because that is scary whenever I see somebody run into a wall and it moves back a foot or two.
Yeah, that first game they played up there, they had people standing along the boards to push them back in place when somebody hit the wall. And I was afraid that somebody was going to get hurt standing there at the boards. But yeah, nothing's changed. I thought they had fixed that by now, but obviously not, because somebody hits the boards and it gets all out of shape.
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure how many home games. I don't have their schedule pull up right in front of me. They got a few, probably another home game or 2 left. So we'll see if they can improve it by the end of the year. Otherwise, there's going to have to be some changes up in Oregon next year if they even play. So,
yeah.
All right. Anything else before we move on into talking standings?
No, but just that there were 2 teams on bye this last week. The Southwest Kansas Storm and the Salina Liberty were off this week.
Yeah, yes, they were. Thank you very much. And now, guys, before we talk about standings, we do want to remind you that we do have a weekly podcast that we do every Tuesday. And Dad, what was on this week's show? Because this episode's going up on a Wednesday. Our episode just aired yesterday, episode 393. What did we talk about?
Well, the 2 biggest stories that were on our podcast yesterday was quarterback David Carr retired from the NFL after 11 seasons due to a shoulder injury. And the NFL released 6 out of the 7 matchups for their international games. We think we know who's going to be playing in the first one that they said they'll announce today when the schedule comes out later tonight. But the other 6, they did put the matchups out there. And Minnesota gets 2 games in a row over in one in Dublin and one in London. That doesn't sound right, but whatever. That's the way the schedule goes.
Yep, and we talk about that and so much more on our weekly podcast This Week in the World of Football, available every Tuesday wherever good podcasts can be found. So jump over there, guys. Check it out. We talk arena football, too. We talk about a lot of stuff.
Yep.
All right, taking a quick look at the standings. The Albany Firebirds sit at the top at 8-0. The Southwest Kansas Storm at 5-3. The Nashville Cats at 3-3. The Corpus Christi Tritons at 3-3. The Billings Outlaws at 3-4. The Oregon Lightning at 3-5. The Salina Liberty at 2-5. And the Washington Wolfpack at 2-6. Now, we're going to jump into some news stories that came out this past week. The biggest story from AF1 didn't even come out during our podcast, I don't think.
No, I think it came
or
out
did
later.
It?
No.
Okay.
No, because we didn't talk about this yesterday.
Okay, I can't remember if we did it or not, but it came out that they are tweaking the playoff format for the AF1 playoffs. We are still waiting on a championship game name. That should be coming out soonish, according to the press release on the website of the AF1. But pretty much it's going to be the top 4 teams. A 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 matchup, then that leads into the championship game. So if the season were to end right now, it would be Corpus Christi traveling to Albany, and it would be Nashville traveling to Southwest Kansas. So what do you think about this change? Because originally it sounded like they were going to go with last year's format, which was the top 6, and then the top 2 teams would get byes. Now they've seemed to just redo everything. Top 4. What do you think?
I think it's a good change. I think the top 4 teams, one round of playoffs and then the championship game. That's fine. That's fine for this season. I have no problems with it at all. The first round of the playoffs is going to be on June 20th. The championship game, or the weekend of the 20th, not on the 20th, but sometime that weekend. Then the championship game the next week, the weekend of June 27th. And during that week, there's going to be league meetings. There's going to be a State of the League address, media day availability, an awards dinner, all leading up to the game. So hopefully we'll learn about some expansion teams by then, maybe 1 or 2. Who knows? But it should be a fun time wherever this game happens to be, and whoever's in it.
Yep, so we'll be on the lookout for that. I'm sure there'll be more stories coming out. I'm sure maybe even as soon as this video gets posted, something will go up and it'll make everything.
It always does.
Obsolete. It usually goes that way. But I'm excited for this. Like I said, the talent discrepancy in the league right now, it's I think it was imperative that they just take the top 4 teams. I don't think they could have let a Washington or an Oregon, no offense to those teams, sliding in with some of their records
Right.
in their up and down play. I think you got to just get the best 4 teams. That'll be the best product you can put on the field this year. Maybe next year we can expand playoffs depending on how many teams we have.
Sure.
But I think you need to go with quality over quantity, and I think that's the route they went. And I am all for this change because these standings are going to change by the end of this season. I don't think we're going to see Corpus Christi in there. I think you're looking at Salina maybe even bouncing back. I think Salina, who's better than their 2-5 record, could climb back in and make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, they play the games, and we'll find out how true that'll be or not. And who knows, maybe a Washington or an Oregon can surprise us and climb their way in.
Yeah, they could catch fire the next couple of weeks and surprise a lot of people. But we'll see.
Yep.
That's why they play the games.
Yeah, that's exactly why. And I don't think Albany is going to be that team that's going to just run away with it. I think they are going to have a couple of tough tests in the postseason, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, we shall see. We'll be watching, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. All right. The other news that I really have, it's not really a big news story. It was just an observation. I don't know if anybody listens to the official AF1 podcast that they put out. But I was just a little disappointed. Just want to say, I listened to their episode. I like what they do over there. Jeff Levac, great host over there, does a great job. But I just want to ask, what was the deal, AF1, that he teed up an interview with John Gruden to not play an interview with John Gruden? I just thought it was a little weird. They went to a great interview, mind you, with the head coach of the Nashville Cats, Darren Arbette. And I don't know, it's got me putting on the tinfoil hat. Some of these, AF1 Facebook guys, I have to borrow their tinfoil hat, and I have to ask, is John Gruden really a part of this league? I know they put out a press release. I know that, they say he's part of this league. I haven't seen him mention it. I haven't seen it on his social media. If somebody can point me in that direction, please do. I just haven't seen it, Dad. Am I a little crazy for that?
Well,
I just haven't seen anything. Then this interview supposedly that didn't make it into the show could just be a simple mistake. Totally, probably possible.
After last year, we're all a little gun shy when it comes to what the league is saying. It's not that bad this year. They've got better people in place running the league and all. And I think there were so many stories about John Gruden being part of the league that if it weren't true, I think the league would have stepped in right away and put out a press release saying we don't know where this is coming from. So,
well, hold on. Since they put out the official release with John Gruden's name in it and whatever, and quotes from John Gruden, so it's from them. I'm just saying I have not seen John Gruden himself take social media or anywhere. I haven't seen a video of him acknowledging this or a tweet acknowledging this. That's why I'm just like putting a tinfoil hat on. and just being like, maybe this is true. I'm sure it is true. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is it? Part of me is like a little conspiracy theorist back there, just saying, I have not seen the evidence yet.
Take off your tinfoil hat, put on your Billings Outlaw shirt, and just enjoy the games and don't worry about it yet.
I know. Look, I get it. We all kind of have that like knee jerk like voice in the back of our head after last season. So I'm just questioning it a little bit. I'm not calling him straight up lying about it. I'm just saying I have not seen John Gruden acknowledge any of this yet. So now I have been extremely skeptical. I haven't seen anybody else bring this up. So I might be the only one. I'm also the only one who apparently voted for Henry Nell for midseason MVP. But
well, that's 2 strikes on you then.
hey, it is what it is. If you want to go check out the midseason AF1 awards that Randy and I actually got to vote in, which is pretty cool, go over to the AF1 website and check out their list of winners from the midseason point. Obviously, they're not going to hand out trophies halfway through the season,
Sure.
But it's a nice way to gauge where kind of things are standing right now. And if you are like me, which a lot of you aren't, Henry Nell should be MVP. Kicker from Albany. You heard it here first. I heart the deuce, by the way.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one. I'll let you have that one.
Is that who you voted for too?
No.
Oh well.
But I'll let you have that one.
Oh, you'll let me have it. Okay. We got quite a few weeks left, and I think Henry Nell should be MVP. I might have to do a separate thing about why I think he should. I won't waste any more airtime. We've gone long enough, I think, on today's episode.
Yeah, let's go.
Anything else from the AF1 world that you want to talk about before we hit stop?
Well, you haven't mentioned next week's games. There's only going to be 2.
Yeah, we got to do that. This is why we have a co-host, everybody, so I can sit here and talk about the 2 games we got coming up next week. We have the Vice game of the week, which will be Saturday, May 17th. The Southwest Kansas Storm will travel to Billings to take on the Outlaws. And then on Sunday, you're going to have the Washington Wolfpack traveling to Oregon to take on the Lightning for the 4th time this season. Crazy. 4 matchups this year. Feels like 12.
Yeah, so just 2 games this coming week. What is it? Saturday and Sunday. And 4 teams on bye. Salina, Nashville, Albany, and Corpus Christi all on a bye.
Yep. And we'll see what happens with Jalen Morton. Because he went to the UFL last week, but I saw that he got cut from the Stallions, so I don't know if he's going to...
I hadn't heard that.
I saw that somewhere, and I'm wondering if he's going to make a return. Hard to say if he's going to make a return to the Storm or not. I haven't seen anything just yet, but we'll see what happens. That quarterback situation in Southwest Kansas is going to be very interesting this week. So that's what to keep an eye out on during the Vice game.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
No, we're good.
All right, guys. We appreciate you watching, checking out our show. It's a couple days late, but that's what happens when they have a AF1 After Dark on Monday night. So stay tuned to this channel for more AF1 recaps and other football goodness as the arena, indoor, and spring football season marches forward. We'll see you guys next time on the World of Football.